We often say how we should strive for quality over quantity. Many of us don't realize how in order to go for quality, you need critical thinking. And in order to have critical thinking, you need quantity. Many say people are being too critical nowadays. That wasn't the case a few decades ago. Look how everyone is constantly shitting on the new Star Wars or the new Dragon Ball. Nobody was doing that when the first ones came out. Oh, really? Could it be because there were far fewer titles in the past? The big three were constantly rivaling each other. What was rivaling the original Dragon Ball or the original Star Wars? Nothing! To anyone who thinks I'm being too critical because I got old and I'm blinded by nostalgia, to anyone who thinks everything I watched as a kid is amazing while everything coming out now is crap because I view them with an adult mindset, let me remind him how little there was in terms of entertainment when I was a kid. I vividly remember the year when anime began airing in my country's television. It was 1988. There were 3 of them. There were only 3 others besides me watching them in my village. We all liked them. We had no reason to be critical. Why would we? There were only 3 of them and we all agreed they were fine. Fast forward to the early 00s. It was the beginning of the big 3 wars and I had access to the internet for the first time. All of a sudden there were thousands of anime and thousands of people talking about them. I became critical. Why not? Everyone was constantly recommending you stuff to watch or was debating which show did something better. Of course, and I had to begin defining quality through quantity. I had to explain why I prefer this shit from the other 1,000 shit. So to anyone who says we are being too critical nowadays, I reply, we are not being critical enough. There are 50 anime airing every season. If I include the cartoons and the live-action series and the movies and the video games, we are talking about several hundreds of new titles coming out every season. By default, you have to be 100 times more critical than I was as a kid, so you can decide what you are supposed to watch from all this mess. But you don't see the majority of the viewers pointing out which ones are definitely the best, do you now? Yuri on Ice, best anime of 2016, and thousands get offended when someone says it's not. There were only 3 anime back in my childhood. What's the point of being critical when there were only 3 of them? Nostalgia clouding judgment, my butt. Why bother to point out the plot holes in the first Star Wars and the first Dragon Ball when there was nothing remotely similar airing to make a comparison? Now is the time for people to be more critical than ever before. Now, when they are getting hundreds of new stuff every season, many of which are similar to each other. But instead of that, you get millions circle jerking around the worst in quality shows, making you lose faith in humanity with how almost nobody's using critical thinking and yet complain about people being too critical. But I understand why many say that. It's because the majority doesn't care about quality or critical thinking, even though their generation demands it 100 times more than mine, thus not being on board with the times. And I get it. You consume trash because you seek comfort. I was doing the same thing. The difference is, I wasn't eating enough trash to realize they were trash. My excuse is, there were no better alternatives when I was a kid. What's yours? Why are you ridiculing yourselves on a daily basis? Why do you form huge groups of equally cringy people and you don't stop self-loathing yourselves instead of being critical? I could never do that as a kid and I was a chuny for 5 years. There were only 3 other anime fans in the village, so I had to make sure never to let loose in front of anyone else. I mean, can you imagine what would happen if we were deliberately acting like man-children in public? The rest of the village would be making fun of us non-stop, and we wouldn't have a group of 1,000 other man-children so we can hide inside and keep acting the same way because we think it's normal. That way we wouldn't have to listen to criticism. Even at a time when I didn't have to be critical, I was more reasonable than the average kid nowadays who is constantly being sheltered no matter what he does. Think of the children, don't be mean to them, they just express themselves. That's strange. Bullying was normal when I was a teenager. Everyone was doing it. I was doing it. Nobody killed himself and we came out manlier than ever. We were fighting back. We learned how to be critical and use legit counter-arguments. Do you know why? Because we were not sheltered all our lives. In conclusion, quantity beckons quality. The more you have of something, the more critical you should be about it. Not the other way around. People of today are not nearly as critical as they should be, as they are self-absorbed in their chuny shit, ready to snap and call their bodies to harass anyone who tries to tell them otherwise. And this comes from me, someone from a time when we didn't have to be critical. Oh, the irony! And this is yet another reason of why retro always wins.
Has anime gotten worse over time? No. Anime's still good.
What?
You're contradicting yourself!
Evangelion was a rerun in the late night time slot. Eva's success convinced the industry of its profitability. In 1996, there was one late night anime. Today, 50 shows airing after midnight this year alone.
So, you admit in the beginning we had only one late hour anime and it was good, and now we have 50. And what do we know about the quality of late hour anime?
Anime after midnight is the trash. The stuff that everyone makes fun of.
So you admit things are worse now?
Tell me any shows you like, and I will find you a parallel in modern anime.
Really? Then where is a modern day Neon Genesis or a modern day Berserk? I just see the remakes, which are shit.
1998, the year we got Cowboy Bebop, Trigun, and Serial Experiments Lane. We didn't get a lot else that year. There just weren't a fuckload of shows coming out the way that there are today.
Exactly! You admit things were better back then because we had quality instead of quantity.
Anime's still just as good as it's ever been because there's so much more of it now.
Oh my god! Do you at least have some good examples?
We had Cowboy Bebop back in the 90s, we had Space Dandy in 2014. It's the same type of show, every bit as good as Cowboy Bebop.
It's not even close as good. It was just random shit with no consistency. They go as far as saying every episode is an alternative reality. Lazy!
If you liked Serial Experiments Lane, we had plenty of experimental, interesting shows in 2014. Ping Pong.
You compare existentialism and the definition of reality through the internet with a simple sports series? Totally the same thing.
Modern anime. That's Masaaki Yuasa.
I'm pretty sure it's actually light novel adaptations and soft porn.
Hosoda. Everyone loves Mamoru Hosoda.
I don't like Hosoda and his melodramatic bullshit.
In the 90s, we had Dragon Ball Z, but in the 2010s, we've had the Hunter x Hunter readaptation, which is fucking phenomenal.
And it's based on a retro manga, so it doesn't count. Also, only 2 arcs were good.
Back in the 90s, we had great comedy OVAs like Golden Boy. Now we've got 300 episodes of the best comedy show ever, Gintama.
Because Golden Boy is about referencing Shonen Jump manga, not!
Let's talk about Trigun. I don't know if I have a direct comparison to that, but there's a lot of good anime from 2014.
You're not even trying!
You like Gurren Lagann the best? Kill La Kill's about as good as Gurren Lagann.
They are not even 10 years apart, they were made by the same people, and Gurren Lagann is not even retro yet.
This year so far we've had Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju, a fucking amazing show.
Did you finish it?
I only watched 2 episodes and I thought it was one of the best fucking things I'd ever seen.
If it couldn't hold your attention for more than 2 episodes, you cannot claim it was good.
Shirobako started in 2014, absolute fucking classic. Nothing in 1998 could fucking measure up to Shirobako.
Why? Not enough lolis to up to? Fuck you, it was forgettable mediocrity.
There was a lot of great stuff and a lot of terrible stuff. But the great stuff has lived on. And over time, everyone has forgotten about the terrible stuff.
No, they haven't. They have forgotten the mediocre stuff. Do you see anyone forgetting Mars of Destruction? Of course not. We all remember the bad stuff and the good stuff. What we forget is the mediocre stuff. These over here are all the shows from the 1970s. Yeah, as you can see, it's just sports. People have forgotten the sports, but still remember Ashita no Joe, so we had like a year about sports nobody cares about, and Ashita no Joe, one good series. How does this compare with today, huh? We get like a fraction of good series, and a bunch of shit and forgettable garbage, okay? Hundreds upon hundreds of those. How is that the same thing? It's not. The 1970s by comparison were made of gold.
There's a lot of great shows on right now that just aren't that popular, cause guess what? People like bullshit.
Like ponies and moishets and long beards and drinking wine from a carton box and sunglasses in the dark.
The good shows are still there. Here's the problem. No one fucking watched Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju, the best fucking show on television.
And neither did I, and neither did you, because it was more fitting to be a movie instead of a TV series. Also because it's slice of life. Nobody cares about slice of life.
You watched Erased. You watched Phantom World and Grimgar, shows that no one will talk about in 2 years because they don't matter.
I'm pretty sure nobody's gonna remember Showa and Goku either. You see, it's slice of nothing ever happens, and those tend to be forgotten fast.
But a lot of you did watch Konosuba, and that was great.
Ha! The hypocrisy! It was mediocre, you pleb!
Every time something good comes out, someone else wants to cash in by doing something similar without understanding what was good about the original.
I agree with this one. Any good examples?
Ore no Imoto.
Oh my god!
it still has a lot of great elements to it.
Lollies, incest, harem, light novels, so many great elements!
And I am an otaku, a smart person who doesn't like my intelligence to be insulted.
What about my intelligence, you insult?
Anime's gone to shit because the one specific show you loved in 1998 didn't have a rebroadcast that year. You like 10 shows. You're not a fucking anime fan.
I like 60, I watch everything, and I'm not into more shit. I am a true anime fan. I also drink cognac. I am a true snob as well.
So far, the 2010s have been a fascinating decade for anime. We've had more new shows coming out each season than ever before. The most groundbreaking films and TV shows have come out in the past 6 years. This decade has been exceptional, celebrating the ways that the medium has continued to excite me over these last 6 years. Number 10. Twitter. The relationship between audiences and creators has opened up all across the board in every creative medium. As more and more studios and staff members have taken to Twitter, they've been able to affect the manner and level of engagement which fans can have with their works in countless little ways, which has been vital to the growing Sakuga community. Or look at studios like Kyoto Animation, tweeting out cute character gifs. Urobuchi Gen spent months convincing everyone that he was turning over a new leaf with Madoka Magica, and that it was totally just going to be a lighthearted magical girl show. No, really guys, I promise. Twitter has also allowed for a lot more ease in crossing the Pacific cultural divide, as many tweets are translated into English, while others are just posted that way by those who can speak it. Reddit deserves a shout out as well for all of the lengthy AMAs with producers and directors that have been conducted over the last few years. Number 9. Serialized web shorts. The medium of original OVAs has all but completely died, with OVAs now almost exclusively being relegated to ongoing series tie-ins. In place of OVAs, we've seen an emerging trend of serialized film releases which represent the growth of internet viewership. Film serials offer an interesting answer to piracy in that they can make money in theaters, which audiences have to buy tickets for. Number 8. The Monogatari and Mobile Suit Gundam release schedules. It's such an inventive method of adapting the light novels that it really gives me hope to one day see something like a properly handled adaptation. Build Fighters is the perfect vehicle to make a kid-accessible version of Gundam without compromising on a gripping war story in its mainline AU shows like Iron-Blooded Orphans. Number 7. Digital effects totally raises the bar for what TV animation is capable of, where high-quality animation, composition, directing, and design work are all coupled with high-tech digital effects work. I feel like I'm looking at the future of TV animation. Number 6. Awesome remakes. The 26 poorly animated episodes of Berserk, which cover the first 13 of its now 40 or so manga volumes, have left fans craving a complete adaptation which might deliver on their property's full potential. Number 5. Anime Studio Diaspora. A lot of anime studios seem to completely fall apart, but a ton of new studios opened up and everything got really interesting. Hiroyuki Imaishi's Studio Trigger immediately solidified an identity for itself as an even more punk version of Gainax, while Masao Maruyama established MAPPA as a studio somehow even more willing to bank everything on high-risk projects than Madhouse before it. Number 4. The Japan Animator Expo. In a world where so many anime fans are dissatisfied with the stagnation and normalcy of lowest common denominator light novel adaptations flooding the market every season, the Japan Animator Expo was a definite breath of fresh air. Number 3. The Young Animator Training Project. The results have been all over the place and always interesting. Number 2. Anime crowdfunding. With yet unseen results, such as the Under the Dog OVA, it's hard for me not to appreciate the potential which crowdfunding has to offer in allowing creators more freedom to make new and exciting properties with the blessing of their audience. Number 1. Online streaming. How anime is consumed and marketed has massively shifted under everyone's feet. If there's a future for anime to grow into, then it lies in figuring out how to get the fans voting with their wallets on what they want to see coming out of studios in the future. Considering the quality of animation which has been coming out even just in the current season, I can't help but be hopeful for the second half of this decade and for the future of anime still to come. Openly reward mediocrity, created for people who want nothing more than such. What I have found is that the 80s was in fact the greatest decade in anime history. That's because over the course of this decade, it seemed as though what was incentivized was to make the best possible product.
All of us were anticipating this chapter's release. There were so many theories, speculations that could happen. There was a lot of things going into this chapter that could have happened, and many of us are wondering what will happen.
I had this argument with an idiot who was defending everything I was criticizing, such as people watch My Hero Academia for the punches, or people overthink shows and make up symbolism. We said lots of things and I was right as I always am, but down to it, it doesn't matter.
Quite shocked. My god, Horikoshi, gotta learn how to chill.
Almost everyone who watches and makes videos about anime, he does it mostly because he's invested in them. And by invested, I mean feels and money. When those are all the reasons these weebs are watching anime for, do you really believe it matters if we get entire episodes about seeing how everyone's room looks like? Or if the flowers have any actual meaning in certain scenes?
Multiple curveballs. That threw me for a loop. That was like an emotional roller coaster.
In the age of seasonal watching and episodic reviewing, quality doesn't matter, truth doesn't matter, and honesty doesn't matter either. All these newfag weebs don't care about what is right or if it's used properly. They just care about talking for feels and money.
I was very pleased that he didn't extend it or drag it out with Hawks and his apparent betrayal. That is what I'm truly happy with when it comes to this chapter. In some ways, we did get some details, but at the same time, nothing was really accomplished. I like how Horikoshi, he didn't let us know.
We often complain about movies and series becoming worse with time, but do you think this matters to the staggering majority of the audience? They consume all these things one little piece at a time. They don't see them as a whole because for something to be whole, it means it's over. And if it's over, it means there is no more for them to talk about for feels and money, so they lose their interest and they jump to the next FUD.
Thanks to Horikoshi's great writing and how he knows how to flip cliches here and there, I'm like, oh my god, Horikoshi, like, yo, you're playing with my emotions right now.
I am not like those new fags, since I care about quality and truth and honesty. I am not selling out for the sake of money and fame, which is why my channel does not have many subscribers, and I am making close to nothing in comparison to all the sellouts. I expect you to appreciate that.
Sword Art Online is the anime of the decade.
So don't complain about my videos not sucking the dick of flower symbolisms, because that's not what makes a title good when you see it as a whole, which is the old way we used to analyze things. The retro way, the better way.
Many of us expected Hawks to be a traitor, and we come to find out he's a double agent. And I'm just like, okay, that's how you throw a curveball, how you flip the table of cliches and all that. That was a great way to go about it. So good job, Horikoshi.
Every season there are posts about how it's bad or how it's great. People in the comments say why that is true or not by mentioning the titles they liked or didn't like as evidence. And if you write down which ones they mention, it's almost everything that is airing. So basically every show will have its fans and haters, because people have different tastes and what is good for you can be bad for someone else. Thus nothing is good or bad as a whole, leading to one of the most overused replies you always see in such topics. Every season is simultaneously the best and worst season of all times. As someone who follows gold standards and has spent an unhealthy amount of time in statistics, I don't accept that. There are specific things that make a story good, and there are specific things that make a character portrayal bad. The so-called taste of most people differs because they don't care or don't know about those specific things. The only actual thing which can differ without affecting evaluation is aesthetics, meaning what genre you prefer or not. Me liking manly men in a post-apocalyptic setting, much more than underage morblob lesbians in a high school, is a preference that has nothing to do with the overall quality of a show. It always comes down to execution, and after keeping track of 5 decades worth of anime, I have reached to certain conclusions which are facts, not a preference. Based on execution and writing, there are certain periods in time which clearly had more overall quality than others. This table shows the years with the highest peaks in terms of most titles in total and highest averages. Your mileage may vary on what I consider great or not, but the time periods around those years can't be denied. It actually comes down to what you see here. For example, the mid-70s had the best averages in good anime, not because they had the most above-average anime, but because there were very few shows coming out each year. As long as a year had a few good shows in it, it would be enough to skyrocket the percentage. The period with the most good titles as a whole was the late 1980s. It's when the economy was booming and Japan was producing ridiculously expensive hand-drawn animation. The period with the most good but not amazing titles as a whole was between the late 90s and the early 2000s. It was the time when people were going crazy over the new millennium and produced all sorts of mindfuck stories. when hand-drawn animation was being replaced by digital, and when creativity was at an all-time high without necessarily producing the best possible products in terms of production values and directing. The period with the most mediocrities was the mid-2000s, when Blu-ray became a thing and every studio in existence was producing at least 3 shows every year. If I am calling this the golden age of anime, it's only in the sense there was so much shit coming out at once, and most of it was watchable. It didn't have the peaks in quality of previous decades, but it did have a huge variety of shows for all tastes, and for the most part, it wasn't cringy. And then we are left with the period with the most anime coming out, most of which were shit. And what did you know, it's the years we are going through right now. Not even quantity can save the shitfest the industry has turned into. Creativity is dead, old IPs are returning worse than ever before, and people are pleased with mediocrities as long as the colors are pretty. Just look at the shit that is popular right now, the facts can't be denied. So as you see, every season or year is not the exact same in quality as any other season or year. There clearly are better and worse periods, and the one we are going through right now is nothing to bother with.
If you go back 10 years, there wasn't nearly as many anime released. It's become way more mainstream, it's very lucrative, has a lot of money to be gained in it. And a lot of these companies, even in the West, they've started to realize that anime is making waves. It's making a lot of money. And so, because of that, there is more and more people from other countries and these other businesses that want to make money, and they're trying to dabble into that anime pie, so to speak, and get more out of it for their own selective platforms. And so more and more anime is continuously ramping up and needing to be made at a given point in time. The demand has increased for anime, but the overall workforce and people that are working on this anime has not. And in fact, probably dwindling to a certain extent because of what's clearly going on right here. I mean, we've seen the stories of animators not getting paid. We've seen the stories of animators sleeping at their desk and even literally dying at their desk, or just having like a heart attack, so to speak. So because of all of this, we know for a fact that it is a very dangerous job. It is a job that obviously isn't making the most money for a lot of people there, and because of that, there's probably not a lot of people that really do want to be animators. And I think one of the big ways to probably correct this, truthfully, is to stop picking up so many projects. Will that happen though? No, it will not. And the reason for that is because, as I already said, demand is high for anime. It's mainstream. All these companies know it. And because of that, it's not going to slow. So the only way something's going to change is something literally breaks down to the very core where just anime ceases.
Someone made a topic on our anime regarding which of these 3 options they consider to be the best season. The goal was to see if they went for quantity or quality, and if they are bothered by the opinions of others. From the replies, everyone was geared towards quantity. They don't mind it if a season is full of shows they don't care about, since they won't watch them. They care more about having something to watch, and the more titles they like, the better the season feels to them. And since the more shows that are coming out in a season increases the odds of having a title they like, then they are in favor of having as many titles as possible coming out at the same time. The more, the merrier. If they don't care about something, they won't watch it. If they like it, they will watch it. It's as simple as that. It's also a very naive way of seeing things, since most watchers choose what they like from a pool of available options. Meaning, by following this logic, you will always find something to like, even if all the shows in a season are mediocre or worse. Also, most casual watchers usually have a limit for how many shows they can follow at the same time. If it's, let's say, 5, they will follow 5 shows in a season and will ignore the rest. The overall quality of those shows doesn't matter, neither the total number of shows in a season, only the limit of how many shows they can follow. And that gives the illusion of every season being equally good as the rest, since they always follow the same number of shows, and following becomes the same thing as liking that show. If we raise the bar of demands a bit and make it clear how following does not mean liking, we still don't have an overall view of how much a season is worth it, but at least we have a chart with the shows someone watched per season. Since the bar is not at the bottom and watching it does not mean I like it, then these shows will have a different score, and the average of said shows will determine how good a season is based on what someone watched. Notice how quantity doesn't matter now, since the average is what matters, not how many shows come out in a season. And since close to nobody will be watching 40 new shows every season, what is the point of making so many shows when most people can only follow a handful? From a marketing perspective, the more shows the industry pumps out, the higher the chances for one of them to become a smash hit and to make back the expenses for all of the other shows that didn't become smash hits. But that is again a naive way of seeing things, since it's not luck that determines what will become popular and successful. There is no equal chance of success for all of the shows that come out. The most popular ones almost everyone will be watching in every season are predetermined months in advance through promotion. It's either the established fandom of the source material that hypes it, or the names behind the studio that made it, or even how much money the company gives for advertisement. About 90% of the shows that are coming out are not getting much promotion because they don't have an established fandom, or don't have famous names in the production team, or don't get any advertisement beyond the trailer. They never stood a chance to make it big, so again, what is the point of making so many shows nobody is going to watch? It's the same thing with streaming platforms, which try to lure you by saying you only pay $40 a month and you have thousands of available shows you can watch. That is like a few cents per show. It's a great deal. Only it is not a great deal. No one is buying a subscription for watching thousands of shows because his limit is a handful. And since the ones that are destined to be popular and successful are predetermined, 99.99% of viewers will be watching the same 0.0001% of shows and will ignore the rest. All of a sudden you are paying $40 a month for a single show and zero money for thousands of other shows you will never bother with. All those shows are technically worthless. Quantity is useless. Going back to the initial topic of the overall quality of a season, since nobody watches everything that comes out and any show you will never bother to watch is worthless, then the opinions of the community over certain shows become a lot more important than most want to admit. As much as the casuals say they will ignore what people say about a show and try to evaluate it on their own, the truth is they wouldn't bother to check something they never knew it existed because nobody was ever talking about it. Hype exists to oversell a show, meaning to give it a higher value than it would have by itself. So if a show is by itself worthless because it is not in those 5 shows that are predetermined to be watched by everyone, then getting anything higher than 0 is a positive thing as far as marketing is concerned. It doesn't worth it since hype is about overselling something, but even then not every show becomes hyped. Most of them are dead on arrival, and even most of the hyped ones die out after a couple of weeks. In spring of 2022, for example, the most anticipated show according to Mal was the second season of Shield Hero. In just 2 episodes it died out because it's no longer about revenge porn and became a generic isekai. What everyone is watching is Kaguya-sama and Spy X Family, shows that have established fan bases. Everything else that is airing along with them is almost worthless because almost nobody watches or talks about them. So what is the point in the industry making more than 5 shows every season? For stuffing the streaming platforms with titles nobody's going to watch and still somehow count as giving you thousands of available options? Bottom line, any show that doesn't interest you in a season is like it doesn't exist and becomes useless garbage. Any show you do watch has value just because you bothered to watch it. Its value is determined by how much you liked it, and the average of all the shows you watched determines the overall quality of a season according to you.